Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Walton and welcome to another quilt story. Today we're going to be talking to Canberra artists Beth and Trevor Reid, and it's wonderful to see a couple collaborate so brilliantly. Today we're going to be talking about a few of their quilts, including the one behind them, which is called Blurring the Edges. So welcome Beth and Trevor.
Hi Lisa.
Good morning, Lisa.
Hi. Okay, so Trevor, would you like to tell me what's hanging behind you and all those ribbons?
This is Blurring the Edges. This one, Best of Show in Canberra. And you'll notice there's 4 ribbons. The top one is the Benina Best of Show ribbon. There's one for large professional quilt, one for best use of colour, and one for modern quilt prize. 4 ribbons, 1 show. We were pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah, I would be too, definitely. It's not greedy. It's a beautiful quilt and it's really lovely, lovely and bright. Very soon in this presentation, I'm going to show you a sneak peek into Beth and Trevor's home, which I've been fortunate enough to visit and absolutely blown away. But if you don't like clutter, just be warned. As I said, we're going to be talking about a couple of Beth and Trevor's quilts today because unlike most of us, they didn't take a zillion photos of blurring the edges, but it's a similar process to another quilt of theirs called Moody Blues. So we're going to be having a look at both of them. So as you can see, it's just so vibrant and beautiful. I believe this was a stash buster, was it?
It certainly was. We decided that year that we were going to just use what was in the stash, and you'll see the big melamine drawers that we have our stash in later. So it was delving into what we had already, an accumulation of 30 years of fabric. Some of the pieces were quite small, so
and it also didn't make a dent, which was a bit sad.
Oh, okay.
They never do.
A few more Best of Show quilts coming up then with more.
Possibly.
Before we move on to it, you mentioned 30 years. So, Beth, you want to tell me a little bit about how you met, or how long you've been sewing together, which could be different from.
I think we met in about 1970. Trevor was going out with a friend of mine, and she was also writing to a boy that was in Vietnam at the time, and she was pretty keen on him. So they broke up, I guess, and Trevor and I got together, and then in 72 we married. Now, we've always been interested in craft, any sort of thing. I used to sew. Trevor was macrame. After we married, Trevor had the brilliant idea to make a quilt for the bed out of all my old maternity clothes fabric. So he started cutting out this hexagon quilt that he abandoned halfway through, and I finished. So that was really the first piece of textile we made together. And then I branched out into pottery. Trevor did other things, and really it wasn't until we came to Canberra in 82 that we started back into the quilting area and joined Canberra Quilters, because my friend Maureen next door was going to Canberra Quilters and she said, you should join, it's fun. So we did. And then Trevor came. I joined first and Trevor came next. So, that's how we sort of started. And we made our first sampler quilt, which was for a niece who was marrying, and that was quite a big mistake, I think, in a lot of ways, because we just jumped right in and did it. But then again, I guess that's the best way.
It is the best way. And interesting, it was my next door neighbour that got me into quilting as well. So thank goodness.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's great. Here we have a drawing, a very simple drawing. In terms of your collaboration, who does what?
Okay, I usually start the process. I went to ANU, Australian National University Art School, and did a degree in textiles there. One of the things they teach you there is to simplify, pare it back, bring it right back to sort of basics and work from there. And so I tend to think quilts in my head, and then I will jot down a very simple sketch in one of my many visual diaries. I always have a visual diary on the go. In fact, at the moment, I have about 4. And I will just put down the roughest little sketch. This one's a little bit more precise. You'll see there's just notations on the side that give me sort of dimensions and that sort of thing. In this case, I've done this quilt, and it's just in tonal values, 3 tonal values there of light, mediums, and darks. So I do that. Then I start auditioning fabrics. I start throwing fabrics out onto the table. I'll discuss this design with Beth. We'll decide, yep, it's a goer. Yep. Let's do it. And then we'll start throwing fabrics down onto the work table that we have. And I'll just layer them sort of all out on the table. And then we start, or I start cutting, because I do.
Well, we do throw out.
Oh, we audition the fabrics.
Yeah.
Some make it, some don't. Standouts that just shouldn't be there, put back in the drawer for next time. And then I cut out, and then I start pinning up on the pin boards. This is where we've got to this stage. Now, each one of those circles I do with a template. We use a clear plastic material. It's table protector plastic. Cool. So I cut that out. Each one of those circles is cut out by hand with scissors.
Yeah, we don't have one of those template cutting machines. Yeah, bit sore on the hands.
Yes. So that's all done. Then we stand back. Both of us stand back. We assess what we've got. Do things need to be rearranged? Quite often there's a particular block there that just is not right, so that'll be changed. Then I start taking that down and handing to Beth on the other side of our table rows of blocks to be sewn together. So then I take those back. I do all the ironing back of the seams.
That's really nice, to have somebody that does the cutting and the ironing.
I was just thinking that, because, you do, if you're working on a design wall, it's jumping up and down and up and down, up and down.
The ironing board is at one end of the table. Beth sits on one side, I sit at the other. The other end of the table is the big cutting mat. Once we got to that stage, then we're deciding on how this is going to be quilted. Now, in this case, blurring the edges was about me developing cataracts. I got cataracts in both eyes, and I started to see everything sort of blurring together. I had eventually had that operated on, and I rediscovered colour. It was unbelievable. So if anybody's got cataracts and they're umming and ahhing about when they should get them done, because you will rediscover beautiful, beautiful colour. For some reason or other, the colour blue was just literally blew me away.
This quilt was put together, Quilt As You Go, too. I did it in 9 separate pieces, and then joined it all together.
So here is the finished quilt, minus its ribbons. Yeah, yes. The colours, they're just really popping. They sort of feel like they're changing sizes too. It's really quite optical illusion, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I should just mention that blurring the edge here was a double row around each circle. There's a double row of a cross stitch from the banana machine that actually blurs the edge of each of the circles as well.
Okay, I think we have a close-up in the next quilt of that. No,
yes, you do, yeah.
Right.
I did notice on your note, it says Banana 305 stitched twice.
Yes, stitch around twice.
That's right,
yeah.
That's right.
Here we have the beginning of Moody Blues.
Yes, that's auditioning all the jeans.
Were they your jeans, or did you raise
A lot of them were our son's jeans from when he was a teenager, when they were wearing those very big baggy jeans.
Yes.
Yeah, all those. Yeah, because there's so much fabric in them, and it was such a waste, we felt. And he often said, I'd like a quilt out of them. But we'd never got around to it. So we decided that we'd look at the jeans for this one. It came out of blurring the edges, and it also came out of the Sakwa upcycle exhibition request. We sort of thought, what an opportunity. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Sakwa, for those that don't know or are new to this channel, is the Studio Art Quilts Associates that Beth and Trevor and I are all very proud members of. This was an exhibition about a year ago called Upcycle, which is currently travelling the world unfortunately, I think it's sort of stopped for a
Yeah,
moment.
having a nice holiday in the US at the moment.
But hopefully it will come to a quilt show near you or a museum near you. It's a brilliant exhibition. So on the right-hand side, we have you cutting out with the templates.
That's right.
Yeah, all the circles have fusible web on the back, and the blocks are all 4.5-inch squares, because we found that was the best visual meeting between the width of the circle and the width of the block. And it worked out really well, sort of visually.
So I'm just looking at the template. It looks like you've just drawn around it with a pencil and then you hand cut it.
That's right. That's right. Just hand cut.
But not with that rotary cutter.
Not with that.
Not with the rotary cutter.
the blocks, yes. The squares, yes. But not with the rotary cutter.
Just getting a bit technical. What sort of scissors do you use for that? Because as we've talked about before, would be very hard on the hands. Are they spring-loaded scissors?
Spring-loaded.
Spring-loaded, yes.
Yes.
So that you get a good grip.
You'll find with jeans today and yesterday, there are faded parts of jeans. Some jeans are the lighter colour, some jeans are darker colours. In fact, they go right through that beautiful black indigo type jeans. A lot of them have faded parts, particularly to the thighs and knees, and I really like to work with those sort of areas. So I'm able to get these slight variations from the bottom of the little square up to the top with sort of that gradation of colour.
At this point, I'd just like to mention, if people like denim art, you might want to check out Ian Berry, who is a UK designer. His work in denim,
amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. So does it take you a long time to sort of get all your colour values, or you just cut a whole lot out and then just put them up on your design wall?
When I was at art school, I did enjoy painting, and this is virtually painting with fabric, just like Ian does. Just looking at those values and just working it until you're happy that you've got the gradation right.
Other thing I like about that is there's quite strong directional lines in a lot of those denim pieces as well. The eye is moving a lot.
That's right.
This lovely velvety sort of feel to it the older it gets, and just the hand, it's just so soft. It's lovely.
A lot of people have a lot of trouble with denim. Did you have to use any special needles or?
I use a size 90, just a universal with these. Okay. They're not that thick. It's fine.
Here we are with the fused circles, but they're not ironed on yet. So again, you're just playing around with the values.
That's right. And this is sort of, this is the audition process goes on and on. So this is, working with those values. You'll notice that some of them are not quite as blue as others. So you get almost a mauve to sort of almost that dirty denim sort of look.
So much variety, isn't it? Here they are fused down, ready for sewing. They look really beautifully smooth, don't they? They're lovely. It's a bit of an optical illusion. They look like they've been reverse appliqued.
They do a bit, yes.
Yeah, it's, you're obviously very accurate with your quilting in the ditch.
I try to be.
She's a great technician with the sewing machine.
Yes. With the grain, Trevor placed the grains so that they showed to their best advantage with this quilt. It just looked fantastic.
So I'm just jumping back. You did the stitch in the ditch first, and then you quilted around the circles.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so turning your circles, you have a domestic machine, domestic Bernina.
Yes, it's got a large throat. It's the 730, I think it is.
So I'm just sort of thinking of turning the whole quilt. It would have been really easy just to stitch the circle, but you're stitching around in a circle twice.
That's correct. Yes.
Right.
That's
and with the walking foot on, I didn't use any free motion on this one.
Okay, right. Did you on the other one?
No, that's all walking foot as well.
So yes, I can imagine even with a large throat machine, it's quite a feat to get it accurate and going around in those circles, but they look beautiful. That was Moody Blues, and the next quilt we're just going to have a look at is, you're sort of playing with the same colour values again, but with black and whites.
This is using exactly the same techniques as we've used with the ones with the circles. However, here, this is another one in that sort of playing with what was happening with my eyes. I realised that we had a huge stash of black and white fabrics, and so we did exactly the same as the blurring the edges. It's exactly the same size and same number of blocks, except we went to squares. And the squares are larger in the centre, and as it radiates out, they get smaller and smaller, creating that optical illusion. There's quite sort of strong patterns in some of them. And when I was pinning this one up, I had to really be very careful about getting a right balance of those patterns so that the whole thing sort of danced with those, using those little bits of stripes and so forth.
And it's amazing how one little piece can sneak right next to the same piece that you sort of think you've got it all right, and no.
No. Did this make a dent in your black and white stash?
No.
Not really. You'd think it would, but it didn't.
This quilt is called?
Oh, we called it black and white.
Oh, it's original.
Yes. Well, keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are just three of your quilts that are all based on the same theme, and I think that's really interesting. I didn't know about your eyes, so I think that was great. And I think, you know, to put something like that that's going on in your life into your quilts, I think is really important. And I'm now going to switch over to your studio. So just to get an idea, everyone loves to see people's studios. And so
I do too, yeah.
This is a fish quilt happening. Is this one of your recent ones?
This has actually been on the pin board for about 12 months.
Right.
It's one of those that I keep going back to. Goes in tonal values from the top down to dark at the bottom, light at the top to the bottom as well. This was more for
Workshops.
Teaching purposes, for classes. It was, we have two different sort of areas that we work with. We work with sort of the art quilts for the galleries or exhibitions, and then we have sort of teaching quilts as well.
And this one stood around for so long because we're having a problem with one of the rows. So it's just, you know, sitting there waiting
For the inspiration to hit you.
Yes, take it.
Mind you, there's been about 8 quilts finished between starting that one.
Okay, more circles on the right.
Yeah, that's for our son. That's all his genes.
Okay, so he's getting his own, not the.
He's getting his own big one. I don't know they're so heavy, these denim quilts. So yes, I wouldn't like sleeping under one.
And here's some little indications of your studio. So they're the big drawers with your stash, I assume.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
my sewing machine.
Yay.
And my lady with her hat.
It's not a large area though, is it?
It's 5 meters by 4 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's the boardroom table in the middle. That's what the table is. It's an old boardroom table, so it fits a quilt on it when there's not too much stuff on it.
It's one large flat surface, which is 2 meters by 1.5 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on one side of the table, as I said, and Beth's on the other side of the table. We face each other.
Okay.
Yeah, and we often have a talking book in between when we're working, so we're just listening to a book.
These are some just little little vignettes of parts of your home, and I know I felt very guilty because we knocked something off a shelf when we were there. I still.
Oh, that's right. And that was all right. That happens quite often.
Yeah. So you obviously like collecting. Do you have any special themes, or you just start on something and you just want to keep going?
Well, I, like a lot of people, started collecting Buddhas. Trevor started collecting rolling pins, and we have rolling pins all over the kitchen pelmets. It was a habit of going to op shops, really. The Australian pottery is a particular favourite.
Yes.
The glazes are just so beautiful, and the shapes, they're just so round and voluptuous. The Gouda pottery as well was another favourite. I used to go to a lot of auctions because Trevor worked weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up a lot of things. Although the masks that you're seeing there, we got those at the local tip shop. So, you know, it's wherever you see things. And sometimes you sort of look at something and think, I can't leave it.
Yes.
It's just awful. We have stopped now. We don't collect near as much. It has to be really special.
Okay. When you say stopped, I mean still one or two things sneak in.
Well, there's still one or two things creep in, you know.
You can't leave them behind.
The masks, they were another tip shop. Somebody must have just chucked out all, or somebody was going through a house and didn't want them, but, you know, can't leave them there. They're just so beautiful.
They are. So not much space left, actually. Just sort of
Not a lot.
Not a lot, no. Our children sort of go, oh, my Lord. You know?
And you may notice that we don't hang any quilts on our walls either.
Yes, indeed.
There's no room.
No, exactly. No room at all. I know that your garden is also equally not cluttered, just beautifully full, I guess.
The garden is Trevor's realm.
So you can see that there's a lot of inspiration in Beth and Trevor's home, and their lives are obviously just full of creative inspiration, which is a wonderful way to live. So for those of you that thought that your home was a little bit cluttered,
No
way. I think yes, I think your home should be a museum exhibition one day. It's been lovely chatting to you both. I'm hoping that everyone else has enjoyed our little chat. If you have, please click on the subscribe button below so that we're inspired to make more videos and have a peek into other artists' lives. I want to thank both Beth and Trevor for spending this time with me, and I look forward to seeing your next Best of Show quilt.
Well, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
It's a pleasure.
It's been
We
wonderful.
had a great time.
Great. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.